Hey everybody, Matt here from Hitting on Threes, and I just wanted to thank you for watching this video. It's my first video. This is a tutorial on how to make a lava base. This is the lava base that I made for my Demon Prince. It's fairly easy to do. It took me about an hour or so to do it. But anyway, leave me the comments below, or you can hit me up on hittingonthrees.com. That's hittingon3s.com. Would love to see your comments there. Join the forums, get in on the discussion, check out our podcasts. All that good kind of stuff. You can also find me on Twitter. It's hitting_on_3s. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you soon. Here you see that I have a normal Games Workshop large base, and I've attached some cork from a sheet of cork that you can buy at your local hobby store. You get it in the scrapbooking section, and it looks like this. It's got an adhesive back. It's easily torn. It's easily cut. And what I've done is I've ripped pieces off and placed two guide pieces onto the base. The guide pieces are for this guy. He's going to go on the base. This is my Demon Prince. And I've placed it round about where I want to see his feet go. These two places represent where the lava rock is coming up out of the pool of lava. Here what I've done is I've taken other pieces of the cork and I'm placing them onto the base. Don't worry about it if it hangs off because you're going to cut the outer edges off. What you're most looking for is a irregular organic line to look like the rock has come up out of the base here. Continue to place until you're satisfied with the height and the size of the rock that you're going for, and the look that you're going for. Now you can see here we've got a lot of extra hanging over the edge of the base. Don't worry about that. We're going to cut it off. Take your trusty dusty X-Acto knife or blade or whatever you use and begin to saw through the cork. Now watch those little piggies, kiddos. We wouldn't want anyone to lose a digit. They are very valuable, and you don't want blood all over your nice new project. However, if you're playing demons or Chaos Space Marines as I am here, the blood can add a pretty neat effect. However, I don't recommend it. Now, once you're finished, your base should look like this. You should have extra smooth edges. I'm going to take some Chaos Black here, or if you're using the new Citadel line, it is Abaddon Black. And I'm going to begin to paint the rock area, or the cork area, with this black. You want to make sure you cover it, make sure you get the edges, make sure you get the back. Don't worry about getting any on the base, it's fine. But make sure you get all the little crevices, because the cork does have a tendency to raise a little as the paint dries. As the paint dries, it'll pull the cork up. Don't worry about it, just push it back down. Once you're finished, the cork should stay just fine. Now, I have some green stuff here, just a small ball, and what this is going to do is going to be used to make magma. Magma is when lava has come up out of the earth and is beginning to form rock. The magma that I'm going to place is going to be right at the front on this little piece of cork that I have in the middle where it splits off into a Y. My fingers are not wet because I'm not using it for that long, but I am placing it onto the cork, and it is overlapping the edge of the base to look like the magma is flowing off of the edge. Take your green stuff, place it on there, find your sculpting tool, which I have here is a single bladed rounded edge sculpting tool. Get it nice and wet and begin to push into the green stuff. Now first I'm smoothing the edges down onto the cork and onto the base to make sure that there's good adhesion, and then I'm going to begin to push into the green stuff, push in and with a little lift up to look like the magma is coming up out of the ground and then falling toward, well, me at this point, or off the edge of the base. When this is finished, and once we start painting over it, you'll see a pretty dramatic effect. So push in and then up. Okay, finished with that, and here's what it looks like. It should look pretty ugly, actually. I have little creases, kind of like a brain, but make sure they're all going in the same direction so that the top part of it looks like it's falling over. Now, here I have some Solarius, or a Macarius Solar Orange. I'm going to use this as a base for the lava. This is for the lava flow. And what now begins is a steady buildup of color. And this is the first one to give the entire lava flow a foundation. Okay, here you can see I have got the second color, Blazing Orange, and this is for the second layer of the lava. You're going to take this once the first layer is relatively dry, although it doesn't have to be completely dry because you are going to blend this, and begin in the middle working your way out. You don't want to get to the very edge, but you want to get really freaking close. I'm also working with circular strokes here because lava is a moving object. When you use circular strokes, it will give the impression that it is in fact flowing. So keep it up, circular strokes, working from the outside, inside out, all the way almost to the edge. Here I'm taking some Fuegan Orange, which is a new Citadel shade, used to be called a wash, and I'm going to be putting it all the way around the edge of the rock, the edge of the lava, and I'm putting it on pretty heavily. You want to make sure you get nice and good coverage with this. From here on out, we'll be working in the middle of the lava, and this is going to give us something to blend to. It's also going to give us a nice dark orange where the lava meets the rock. Don't be afraid to get too much on here. You can't put too much on here. You want to make sure that you brush the top of the green stuff also. Now, note that this green stuff is not cured, which is fine. You can still paint it, but make sure you cover the top of the green stuff. Here I'm using some contour putty. This is Testors Contour Putty. Contour putty is, think of green stuff that dries really, really fast and is excellent for filling in gaps and other things like that. I use it instead of green stuff to fill in gaps because it dries very quickly and then it's fileable down to whatever shape you want it to be. What I'm going to be doing with a contour putty is I'm going to be using a toothpick, and I'm going to put a little bit of it on the end of the toothpick, and I'm going to place it onto a dryish area of the base. These are going to represent bubbles of lava where the lava is superheated. And I want to stay kind of close to the middle because the lava is hottest in the middle of the flow. You're going to do this just for however many you want, 1, 2, 3, whatever you need for your dramatic effect. Okay, finished. Here we are. I'm adding some Fiery Red. This is Fiery Red from Reaper Paints. This is their Master Series line. I like their Master Series line. I like Reaper Paints. It's a good paint. It's got good coverage. Flows very well. Don't have to add a lot of extra to it. I actually start off here because it does flow so well without adding any water. And I begin painting here, you'll see, without the water, and it covers just fine, but I don't want to use this much paint. You want it relatively thin because you want to still be able to see the orange from underneath. And I'm actually going to be using a stippling type effect. It doesn't look like it, but I am pushing down and pulling off to add a stippling effect onto the lava. Here in just a second I am going to add some water to thin the paint out a little bit. You want to do this while the wash is still wet, and you want to work the red into where the wash is to blend it. Because it does blend much better, especially when it's wet, and you want the lava to look like it is blending together with its surroundings. Okay, now we're finished with that, and here we're going to be beginning on the next layer, and this is once again burnt orange. We're actually going to be painting the green stuff. You want to get full coverage on the green stuff and make sure you get down into the little indentions that you made with your sculpting tool. The magma is black on the top where the rock or the magma has cooled enough to solidify partially, but underneath it's hot and it's red and it's orange and it's a little bit yellow and it's bubbly, and so we're going to cover this here with burnt orange. Get nice good coverage in it. Make sure you get the edges that are overflowing onto the edge of the base. Don't worry about getting any on the black. We're going to come back and dry brush the black here a little bit later, but you can see I'm getting onto the edge on the overflow and even underneath it a little bit. So if for some reason you do pick your model up, the magma has flowed clear underneath the base. Once that's finished, we're done. Wash your brush out, and we're going to move on to a little bit of golden yellow. Everyone loves golden yellow. Yellow is notoriously horrendous for coverage, but it's great once you've got a foundation built up. So we're going to add a little bit to our palette here, and we're going to add a little bit of water, and we're going to use the same stippling effect we did with the red into the middle, even closer in to the middle of the lava flow. I don't know if you can see what I'm doing here, but make sure you get this yellow around the base of the magma. I'm also using an upstroke along the magma away from where it folds over. You don't want to cover it, you just want to get it in certain spaces because the magma has different color values underneath there. Now, what I'm using here is sunburst yellow. It's a brighter yellow. I'm going to add a little bit to my palette, and once the yellow here is dry, add some water to it to thin it out, and definitely want to get around the bubbles because this is a very, very hot part of the lava. The sunburst yellow represents very hot, and you want to keep it relatively in the center, even farther away. Once again, using the stippling effect, but stay to the center. Keep it nice and close, and make sure you get around the bubbles. If you get on the bubbles or paint over the bubbles, that's fine too. We're going to add a little bit of white to them later on, but it'll just add a little bit more to the heat effect. Okay, so we've got that where we want it. It's a nice bright yellow, looks good, has a nice glowing effect to it. The magma is coming along. Here, sorry about that, don't know what that was, but I'm taking some Skull White, our favorite Skull White color. I'm going to put a little bit on the palette and add a little bit of water, and I want this pretty thin. I'm going to use the same stippling effect, and this is going in the very middle, the hottest part of the lava flow. And it is a stippling effect. We want to be able to see the yellow coming through it. Make sure you get over the tops of your bubbles. Okay, now we've got the white done in the middle, and we're going to be moving on. So what I've done here is I'm going to take the white, and I'm dry brushing. I'm actually putting the white on the back of my hand and to get it to the right level. I'm going to be dry brushing over the rock. You definitely want to make sure you get the edges to highlight the edges, and then dry brush around the rest of the lava rock. This is to give it that ashy look, as if the volcano has left a lot of ash behind. It also helps to highlight the edges and to make them stand out a lot more. It's pretty boring if it's just black. And remember, if you get too much on, just paint over with black, let it dry, and do it again till you get it right. If you are not a dry brushing pro, one of the ways you can do this is to take a paper towel and put a little bit on the paper towel, or on a washcloth, and make sure that you don't have much paint on there, and then kind of wipe or just draw it gently back across the top of the rock, being sure not to get into the middle of the lava. Now what I'm doing is I'm taking the black, this is the Chaos Black or the Abaddon Black again, and I'm going to be dry brushing over the magma. Now I want to go with the flow, so from the top down, because you don't want to get in the crevices at all. The crevices are where the magma is the hottest. So you want to dry brush down, make sure you get around the edges, and get down a little bit onto the lava. And you want to cover this fairly well so that there's it looks like the orange is peeking out from underneath the black. Okay, we're finished. Now we've got the magma, we've got the yellow and the orange peeking out from underneath the black, the rock that's coming up out of the ground there. It is cooling. You can see the yellows and the oranges peeking through. Looks pretty good. Looks like it's flowing over the edge of the base. I'm pretty happy with the result. So what I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to take the Fuegan orange again, and I'm going to use it to tone down the yellow that is in the magma. The rock is cooling, and so we don't want it to seem too hot. So you want to brush this Fuegan orange across the top of the magma. You want to make sure you get it into the crevices. And also going to take a little bit and put it on the very tips of the bubbles coming up from the middle of the lava flow. But this is going to serve to show that the rock is cooling. It's going to tone down the yellow, tone down the orange just a little bit. Here what I'm doing is I'm actually getting the Citadel glaze, and I love the Citadel glazes. I think they're fantastic. They work really, really well. But this particular one is Bloodletter. It's like a reddish orange, and I'm going to use it around on the tops of the bubbles, just the bubbles. This is going to give them a little bit of a sheen, a red sheen, because it's hot right there at the base in the lava flow, but it's cooling as it comes up. So we're adding just a little bit of this. It doesn't cover much. It just adds a slight hint of red and orange to the bubbles. So that's what that was. It is a Citadel Glaze Bloodletter. All right, here I'm going to take a little bit of the white that I have left on the palette, and I'm going to begin to just cover the tops, the very tip tops of the bubbles. The bubbles are, remember, superheated air. They do cool off around the edges, but at the top where they're about to rupture, they will be a little bit white where the magma or the bubble is the hottest. Now for some highlighting and some dry brushing. This is Blazing Orange. I'm going to dry brush this around the edge of the rock, because there is a glow, because the rock is so hot, the lava is so hot, there is a glow. So you want to use a blazing orange dry brush on the top of the magma and around the edges of the lava rock that is where the demon's going to stand. You want to make it brightest, closest to the lava, and then not so bright, if at all, towards the top of the rock. Make sure you can kind of see it in your mind, the light source and where it will hit as you're dry brushing along this. And now we're finished. That pretty much does it for the dry brushing on the orange. Putting just a little bit on the tops of the bubbles here. And here is the finished and final lava base for the Demon Prince, complete with magma and bubbles. Not too shabby, eh? Not too terribly tough. Pretty inexpensive. Doesn't take too long of a time. And the cool thing is, it's pretty forgiving. You mess up, you just rip the cork off and start over.